Well. Looks like I was right all along. Well, I wouldn't say all wrong, but all along. But I was actually very much calling kind of what would happen. And a lot of people said I was wrong. And I know a lot of people are sort of taken aback by some of the things that I say. And to be honest with you, I understand it, man. I can be crass. I'm a bit in your face. Like right now on Twitter, I'm like kind of all over the place. And I can understand why people don't like what I'm saying, especially since I was such a advocate for Xbox for a long time until you started seeing them sort of abandon what Xbox was all about. And then I started to get wise to it and was like, maybe Xbox is changing a little bit too much for my particular taste. And I will, start doing a little bit of gaming elsewhere. And I'm having a blast. And now, Xbox, as you guys know, and girls know, people are announcing these sales numbers. There's these different sales numbers. Microsoft came out last week, and hey, as everybody joins in, please hit the like and share button. I'm going to try to let everybody kind of shuffle in and see what happens. But as you guys know, last week Microsoft announced a 48% drop in hardware sales, which is huge. It's huge, and they said their revenue declined, Xbox revenue, and also like that whole thing was just down, down, down. The only thing that was up was Xbox Live users, which was attributed to like PC users creating new accounts and mobile users. And also they had a situation with these spam bots that have been created and are spamming everybody. So that's basically what their up numbers were attributed to. Even though they had more subscribers on things, they made less money because obviously everybody is just getting that $1 thing. And I don't blame you for doing that. So Microsoft came out and damage controlled it and said, well, it's console fatigue. Nobody wants to, nobody wants to get a console right now because there's new consoles that are already announced. So basically, what we had was Microsoft damage control and giving Xbox fans a way to damage control, right? Because Xbox fans were jumping on this. They were like, "Hey, it's a fatigue. There's a fatigue in the generation, you guys. It's a fatigue." So they kept calling it a fatigue too. And I had people message me and they go, "Yeah, it's a fatigue. I'm going to expect Sony's numbers to be down too." And then everybody's down because they're waiting for next generation. But when you look around, and when Sony came out today and announced these numbers, they were just huge. They passed over 100 million units. It's the fastest console ever to 100 million units, faster than the PS2, faster than the Wii. That's absolutely incredible. And to see that just really kind of solidifies that, you know what? One, people like exclusive games. They matter. And two, Sony gets it. And listen, I get that a lot of people look at me and go, "Oh, well, Crap's an old dog. He doesn't like a lot of change and stuff like this." But you know what the funny thing is? I don't even mind the streaming stuff or what have you. The part that really bugs me about Microsoft is the fact that they just totally take the console gamer for granted. They're really just kind of raking us over the coals, and I don't like it. They don't, they announce exclusives for PC. They've got mobile exclusives. They talk about xCloud nonstop, and then they ship these really lousy games that we get and expect us to like it. They don't even mention the term exclusive anymore, or AAA. It's really a shame. Every interview that Phil Spencer does, he talks about the same stuff about how they need to do better, quote unquote, and about how Microsoft is the biggest publisher for Nintendo Switch and one of the biggest publishers on PlayStation 4. Like the way that they talk is completely how a third-party publisher talks, like EA or Ubisoft. That's how they talk about things. And it just goes to show you sort of their mindset and sort of what they're really kind of looking into doing. As you guys join me, please hit that like, share, and everything like that. Matty Beast, what's up? He says Death Stranding and holiday sales are going to kick start sales again. Exactly. If you guys didn't know, the PS4 faster than any other console, and not only that, but their revenue was up. They sold more PS4s in this quarter than last, 3.2 million versus 2.6. Things will slow down a little bit. There's no doubt about it, right? They're going to slow down a little bit. They adjusted their data by 1 million. So they only plan to sell 15 million PS4s over the next year, as opposed to 16, which was their original forecast. And so That is down a year, but I got to say, at 15 million, that's probably more than Microsoft has sold Xbox Ones over the last 3 years, because Xbox One just is not selling. And then to top it all off, the Nintendo Switch came out, and they're almost at a pretty hefty, almost 37 million. And they announced some sales of their exclusives, 17 million, 15 million, 16 million, 8 million. It's just like these ridiculous numbers. And the reason why I think that the Switch might be either close to or already past the Xbox One is because Microsoft doesn't even talk about their numbers. And so Microsoft are the only ones refusing to talk about their numbers, saying it's old guard, it's old guard, it's old guard. And then they get all these Xbox fanboys to repeat that same thing. And then you got Nintendo, who Nintendo was never afraid to talk about their numbers when it was 14 million, 10 million, 20 million, 30 million. What's up, Kratos?
Woo! What's going on, crap?
I'm just talking about, do you think it's funny because like I've been having this kind of war with people on Twitter for a little bit now. It's like they just don't seem to understand it. They stick by this stuff. Like they actually believe Microsoft when Microsoft said, well, it's console fatigue. We announced a new console, so obviously sales are down. And then you come out and you see PlayStation 4 actually sold more. You know what I mean? It kind of just debunks that whole thing. What is your take on where Sony's at right now? Especially, I mean, they announced the PS5 months ago, and it actually increased the sales, and they actually made more money. So to me, it's just absolutely incredible to see this. What do you think?
Oh, it's phenomenal, man. Let's face it, man. We're going to set that to the side real quick. We're talking over 100 million copies sold in 6 years. We're talking about over 1 billion games sold in only 6 years. This has never happened in the history of gaming. It took PlayStation 2 11 years to hit that figure.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you that it's all about the games, and don't let anybody tell you that exclusives don't matter, because Nintendo is showing you they're kicking ass and taking names. Sony has showed you they're obviously far ahead of anybody, and it just, I mean, think about it, the variety that they've offered you in exclusives and marketing deals and all the stuff that Microsoft held near and dear to their heart last generation. They seem to act like it don't matter this generation because they don't have it. So, shouts out to Sony. I want to give them a round of applause. They have been keeping their fan base fed, happy, and they seem to care. They come out week after week saying, the hardcore is our fan base. That's who we're going to cater to. We're going to give you the big blockbuster exclusive that you asked for. We're going to give you the mature rated games that you asked for. And you know what? Yeah, we're going to offer some we're going to deal with PlayStation Now and in the cloud and stuff like that. But our bread and butter is you guys, which is the hardcore. And it feels good as a PlayStation investor, because that's what we are, crap. When we spend $500, $600, we are investors in this company.
You are. And look, I got to tell you, as an investor, it's a bad investment, in my opinion. And look, I'm not telling anybody what to do, but when people ask me, are you going to pick up a Scarlet Day One? I can say no, because for one thing, I don't believe they're going to support this thing more than a couple of years in the next generation. What's up, Enrique? How's it going?
What is going on, gentlemen? I'm on borrowed time, but I did want to chime in because yeah, Crap and I were involved in some interesting conversations on Twitter today.
Well, and it's just like people like come out of the woodwork. All of a sudden, I understand, like, people get mad at me. They think I flip flop, and I tell people it's like I didn't. I got an Xbox One, Killer Instinct. They had these games they kept showing off, and I wasn't a fan of Knack or Killzone, so it was an easy choice. Then they started to just not do anything, and when I put two and two together, I did research, and I was like, okay, their last AAA new IP that they announced was 2015 with Sea of Thieves. That game went into production in 2014. So their last new AAA IP that went into production was 2014. That's a year after the launch of their console, and then they just stopped creation of new AAA IP. Absolutely ridiculous. And for people to defend that, I find that to be egregious, and I just absolutely cannot believe it. So everybody that's like, exclusives don't matter. It's all about engagement and all this stuff. Well, Sony just kicked the crap out of all those metrics: more engagement, more sales, more a billion games. Yep. How do you sell 1 billion games? Listen, Phil Spencer goes, there's no money in hardware. Well, derp, derp, derp. If you sell 100 million consoles, you can sell a billion games. That's a lot of software. That's a lot of
notice-
software.
Hey,
You notice
that's a lot of user engagements. How about that?
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
they also mentioned, how many subscribers they have. I mean, this is paid subscribers, not
Yes.
those individuals who've
Around
engaged or not paid.
40 million paid subscribers. That's
Yeah,
money in the bank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these aren't active users or whatever Microsoft calls them. People need to know that there's a difference between the two, between paid and active, and
Yes.
and there's a big difference there. And I mean, even Nintendo's about to lap them
Yeah.
in console sales, and why? Because Nintendo's bringing games.
Yep.
Hey,
They are bringing games.
within 2 years, Nintendo has come to being close to surpassing them. They're already at close to 40 million, I
Yeah.
believe.
37, almost 37
30
million. Yeah.
Yeah. That's bananas.
Yeah.
That
Not only
is
that,
bananas.
but Mario Maker 2 sold 2.5 million copies in 3 days. I'm
How
going
many
to
copies in 3 days?
2.5 million.
Holy
Yep.
shit!
Yeah, that's a lot.
Exclusive.
That's an exclusive that sells incredibly well, and like all their exclusives sold well. I was looking at some of the things that they were announcing today. It was like some of those games were up to 17, 18 million. That's like half your install base buying your games. So I know Xbox fans can't really relate to that, but it's like this stuff matters, and I keep telling people it's going to get worse. Not the games, because I think Microsoft might have some games by 2022 or so, and I know that people look at me strange. They're going to have Forza, Halo, and Gears. Right, that like those games will come, but the problem is there's no mixture of games. Like I was looking at Concrete Genie and I said that game looks good, and people go, oh, but crap, it's a really cartoony looking game. And I'm like, it's okay though, because there's a good mix of games that they have. They had Days Gone, a realistic open world new AAA IP. They have Death Stranding, an open world AAA IP later. So they had Judgment. They're going to have Shenmue 3. They're going to have Concrete Genie. They got a mix of everything. So like on Microsoft's side, they would at least release something like Concrete Genie as the big game for the year. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the big difference. And it's like the quality of Microsoft games just aren't there. And people need to know this, because there is a lot of people leaving. And it's not that they're flip-flopping. It's that Microsoft is not appealing to them anymore as hardcore gamers. When Microsoft gets up there and starts talking about being the largest publisher for Nintendo and Sony, and start talking about stuff like engagements, and they don't have to tear down Sony to do whatever. Well, Phil, you guys couldn't tear down Sony on your best day. You couldn't if you tried. Like that's the thing. This is their another generation of Xbox, and they just completely failed. I do not see how they can go from what the 360 was doing to this. And people go, well, crap, what do you think? How could they have done better? And I'm like, look what the 360 did. They didn't have a ton of studios in that era. They bought Gears of War. It was a third-party game that they bought. They bought Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey. They bought games for the fans. You're telling me they couldn't have bought anything in the interim of these games coming out, and now we're going to have to wait? Phil Spencer, in my opinion, should have the balls to get up in front of everybody and go, well, we did buy these studios, but the truth of the matter is there's probably not going to be AAA games from them till 2022, 2023, somewhere around there. Just be honest with people, because you actually have people believing that they're going to launch with these amazing games with Scarlet, and it's just going to be Halo and maybe something smaller, right? It's not going to be like this huge influx of games like Fable. I thought it was further along than it seems to be. That studio just opened in April, the second studio from Playground Games, and there's only 60 people there. They're trying to staff up to 200. 60 people. I don't think that game's far enough along to show off or even come out in the next couple of years. You look at Forza, people go, well, Forza 8. Forza Motorsport usually takes 2 years to create. It was on a 2-year cycle. They extended that because it was too much too soon. They just started making that this year because they were stuck making adjustments to the last Forza game, which released too soon. And now they go, we want fan feedback. They just started that this year, earlier in the year, a couple of months ago. It's not going to be ready to launch at Scarlet. It's going to be 2021. So people that think it's going to launch with the Forza and this, it's not. Halo is what they're banking on. They're hiding. They're doing some kind of weird thing. Oh, let's tease and hide games that like little QR codes in there. It's like that's not building hype for anybody, because one of the things that pisses me off most about Microsoft right now, and I know I'm ranting, I'll give you guys a second, but listen, I'm passionate about my gaming and Xbox, and this is what pisses me off. Xbox was always a fair and balanced multiplayer, right? Like you might get, there might have been some lag here or there, whatever, but it's about to be the Wild West. They're not turning off crossplay. They're not giving you the option for that. They want, console versus PC versus mobile, touchscreen versus controller versus mouse and keyboard. It's going to be a mess. Your experiences are going to be so wild and bad. Like Xbox Live, what used to be the best because it was pretty fair, is now going to be into this like mishmash of nonsense, and it's starting to make Sony's idea of limited crossplay on things that really, you know what I'm saying? Like if you want to do crossplay on a you know, what the hell's that game? Soccer cars, fine. You know, I guess they're going to do it on Fortnite. It's the biggest game or whatever, but they give you the option to turn it off, you know, completely. So that, you know, to me, Microsoft is just all, and they don't listen. Like everybody, I see everybody talking about this, and Microsoft does not respond one bit. They don't care. It's absolutely ridiculous that they're not responding.
That's a fair point. No, you know, I was going to say to your point, crap, about Concrete Genie. The one advantage that Sony has, because they've been so invested in putting out good content, is that they can lay an egg with a game, an exclusive game, and no one will focus on that game being bad, because they have so many other games they can fall back on that are actually really good. And Microsoft doesn't have that luxury, and it's obviously evident based on even Phil's comments saying, "Hey, you know, we haven't really been putting out good content." I mean, that's telling when the head of Xbox says that. The other thing too, I kind of want to touch upon, and this is something I think because it was kind of addressed to us today about, you know, us bitching and moaning and stuff. You know, it's not bitching and moaning. It's that, you know, all of us have been on the Xbox platform for a long time. I've been on the Xbox platform for 18 years. I was a beta tester. If I'm complaining, it's because I want to see Microsoft do well, and I know they can do well. It's like, you know, if you, Jada, maybe you could attest to this because you have children, I have children. You know, when you see your child, you know, kind of, you know, messing up, fucking up a little bit, you know they can do better. You're gonna pull them aside and you let them know what time it is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's the same thing. It's like we generally care about you know, how well Microsoft does with the Xbox, because we've been so invested in the product for such a long time. And look, I think you and Mooch said this on MNC on Sunday. We want to see Microsoft do well because we want them to push Sony too. We don't want Sony just to be the dominant force in the marketplace.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, that's really probably not going to benefit us as consumers.
Yeah, I mean, look at their games with gold. Like that came out of nowhere. That's actually a decent games with gold, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, when you look at it, it's not as great as it seems on the outside, because you can pick up Gears of War 4. It's in Game Pass. It's like $2 on CD keys.
Yeah.
You know, Forza Motorsport 6. It's a good game, but it's like that game's probably about to be delisted because of the licenses. Yeah. So they put it up there and they make it so it doesn't cost them anything. I was really impressed with the 360 games, to be honest with you, because that Castlevania game, I don't have that. And I hear that's really good. And then I think Torchlight is also one of those games that's really good. So again, like Microsoft, like where was this type of thing for years? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why are they so oblivious to this? Are they? And I'm not calling anybody out because I'm not doing that. Like this isn't a particular thing shot at anybody, but why on earth are so many people just utterly damage controlling everything that Microsoft does? They're listening to the wrong people, because the Xbox fans that I know, that they want exclusives, right? Like they don't care that they're on PC, but they need console exclusives, right? There's nobody with a straight face that can go ahead and tell me within 3 years they know 100% for sure that Microsoft will not be posting their games on PlayStation and Nintendo natively, right? Exactly. Like nobody can say that. Eshan
Rashid, what's going on?
Please talk about Concrete Genie. It looks amazing. Look, it does look amazing. You can play it with or without VR. It looks fun to play in VR to me. Yeah. So it's definitely a game that that I'm going to play. Like I said, they've got that. They've got Medieval. Yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff. They got Death Stranding coming out later this year, which you know, props to them for taking some chances. I don't know what the hell it's about, but I want to find out. And I think that's key. Like you get interest in these games. And I saw Microsoft's marketing strategy for Gears of War 5, and it's Chips Ahoy cookies. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, look, I had people argue with me until 1 o'clock in the morning yesterday about how crossplay shouldn't have an option to be disabled. And I just scratched my head. I'm like, they're like, because it'll take longer to find a room. And I'm like,
well, it's a you problem, crap, apparently.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they're like, first of all, I get told to get good.
Yeah, get good. Second, and then it's a you problem.
Yeah, and then it's a me problem. Like, oh, they don't want to wait a long time to find a room. I'm like, look, if it's an option, not everybody's going to disable it unless it truly is this huge disadvantage that I think it is. Yeah. And most people don't know because it's enabled by default. So when I did the tech test, right, I only did a few rounds, and I was like, ugh, you know, I mean, like the game's fun, but to be honest with you, like the few times that I played, I just across the map for no, like, I'm like, where am I getting hit from? you don't even know. And it's just like they're picking you off. You're behind cover, you just get picked off, headshot, whatever. So it was like for me, then I started playing ranked, and I was like, how do you even turn this off? They make it kind of convoluted to get in there and turn it off. And it's like it's worded weird as well. So it doesn't mention PC at all. Just like it just says something like crossplay enabled or whatever in the options, or like deep in the options menu. So for me, it's like they want you to do this, and if you don't, they want to make you feel bad about it. Like I don't feel bad about it. I pay $60 a year for Xbox Live. I want a fair thing. There's already the same sites that do cheats for Sea of Thieves are working on cheats for Gears of War 5.
Are they really?
Yeah, they are. So do we really listen? I know people go, well, they'll get banned. Maybe, but a lot of these griefers just like to do this for the hell of it, and they'll make another free account, and you know what I mean? It doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to them. It really doesn't.
It just puzzles me, right, that we invest all this money into this particular console, and now you're telling Microsoft and Rod Ferguson, hey guys, this is a problem for me. It's such, it takes them nothing but 5 minutes to be able to fix that. It's just an option. Just give a person the option. They say that they're for the gamers, right?
Yeah.
So I don't understand what the problem. But the biggest thing is guys that will go against you and tell you, hey, shut up, don't talk about your grievances with the game, just love it, just take what they give you. That's the same mindset that they have with the whole Xbox this generation. It's like, don't talk about it, just shut up, enjoy it. Phil will handle everything, just keep going. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they're in the situation they're in, because people have let him know, and they're on social media, they're reading the stuff. People have let them know that, hey, what you're doing is okay.
Yeah. And this kind of came to me yesterday, and I was thinking about it. Most of my friends, this generation, we've bought maybe 5 to 6 Xboxes just for ourselves. That's not giveaways. That's not, for your kids or anything. That's just for yourselves with the different iterations they've had. So if they've only sold around 36 to 40 million consoles, and most of the people I know have bought multiple consoles.
I have 5.
Exactly. That means the install base technically really is much smaller than that. That means they're probably sitting around 20 million install base, which everybody else buying, 3 to 4 consoles a piece. If you kind of think about that matrix, I'm just thinking about that. So how do they go out and get more than 40 million people? I don't know. That means there's a lot of people last generation did not move over, or they went to the PlayStation side, or they just sticking with the 360. And Microsoft, right, in order to grow their install base, they have to cater to not only their base, but they have to go for the Nintendo fans and the PlayStation fans and people, and the PC guys. And it doesn't seem like they care for their base. From the outside, it doesn't seem like they care for their base. They're focused on any and everybody else. Think about it. They got their exclusives in their games going to the Nintendo Switch.
Outer Worlds, for instance, just got announced for the Nintendo Switch. And I tell people this, right, because Obsidian's a studio that a lot of people are excited about. And they're a decent studio. They're a pretty good studio. They've done some games that I like. The Stick of Truth is being one, obviously KOTOR 2. But they have it in their contract that they can make Outer Worlds 2, I guess, if this one hits a certain sales number. And it being on 4 platforms, obviously, it probably do pretty well because the Fallout crowd will flock to it. So if this game does do well, they're locked into making a sequel, which will take up most of their manpower. I know they've got a couple teams.
Multiplat anyway.
Exactly. And it's guaranteed to be multiplat. I know people will point to the fact that they've got multiple teams, but they've already admitted they've had multiple teams, but they could be 2 people R&Ding an idea as a team, right? It doesn't, like 98% of their people that they have working are working on Outer Worlds right now. And then they have some people working on Pillars of Eternity 2 DLC. And then they have a couple of people probably R&D some ideas. And if it's a new IP and they try to go AAA with it, then you're looking at 4 to 5 years. If they have to make Outer Worlds 2, you're looking at maybe 6 or 7 years before we see anything. And then I see Matty Beast in the chat. He says he has a lot of Xboxes and a lot. And now there's a big stack in the back of GameStop. I have a discussion with Matty Beast quite a bit because he has the same problems that I have, where his Xbox One X keeps getting saying, wait a minute, there's a problem. And then you have to like restart it and it bricks, or you have to like factory reset it. I factory reset my Xbox consoles 20 times this generation where you keep the game. Yeah. Like, and I'm not even in like the deeper tiers of the preview program anymore. I left, right? And I don't even remember joining with my newest Xbox One X. I didn't join anything, and I still have a problem. When I watch Hulu, every other day I have to hard reset it because it's like, oops, something went wrong. Give it a minute and try again, and it never works. You got to reset the whole thing. So they're redesigning the dashboard yet again, 6 years in. You know, again, they refuse to announce anything, and they wonder why people are ticked off. And you know, listen, I'm not saying announce 10 games right now, but why not say that Fable is being worked on? Give your fans some kind of hope. It's like they're so oblivious, and when you really need to talk to these people, they don't respond to you. Crossplay problems or you know, questions about that, nowhere to be found. You know, hey, we're losing hope over here. Nowhere to be found. And I admit, I gave Sony crap because early in the generation, I thought they showed games too far out, but they seem to have no problem putting those games out at some point, and it got people excited. I got to admit, like, Xbox fans have had no reason to jump up and down and be happy. I've seen PlayStation fans literally get out of their seat and dance around with announcements. I've seen Nintendo fans do that. Banjo-Kazooie gets announced for going to Smash Brothers, and their fans flip out and like in a way I've never seen before. Xbox fans don't get any of that. Like, why can't we get that?
Because you know Sony does a masterful job at rallying the base. Nintendo does too.
Yeah,
and that's what Microsoft doesn't do. I equate this to politics. You got to rally your base. You got to get them excited. There's so many games that we've asked for. Alan Wake 2. I'm telling you guys, watch E3 2020.
PlayStation stage.
Watch Sam Lake come out on PlayStation stage and announce Alan Wake 2. I'm telling you, it's going to happen, and people are going to lose their minds. And it's another missed opportunity for Microsoft.
The only reason they haven't announced it already, Enrique, is because they have this game they need to sell, this Control game. So they don't want to put that publicity on that. So, but if it wasn't for the Control game, they would have already done it.
But J-Dub, look how many games that like Xbox fans have wanted. Like, how many we've been asking for a sequel to Lost Odyssey, right? A sequel to Blue Dragon,
Sunset Overdrive 2, remember
Overdrive 2,
Rise 2, Quantum Break 2. This is what I said the other day. I had a disagreement with somebody on Twitter who's a big Xbox fan. No offense to him, but everybody's like, Microsoft listens so well, and I'm like, have they listened at the thing that matters most? Video games, and they haven't. They listen to where they think they can make money and put their stuff on everything, but it doesn't. I don't think it's occurring to them that you need great content to sell anything, whether it be your services or your hardware. And the fact of the matter is, I see fans ask for Killer Instinct 2 now. Like, that is a big thing. Phil and nobody responded at all. Crickets. You don't hear anything. There's absolutely no response from Phil or any of those people. Like, you're not going to get a Killer Instinct 2. Alan Wake 2. Hell no. Microsoft gave the publishing rights back. They nipped that right in the bud. Let's cancel Scalebound. Let's cancel Fable Legends. Let's cancel Phantom Dust remake because they wanted $5 million to do it, and that's too rich for their blood. You know, let's not do a Rise 2 because we had a falling out with that developer. Sunset Overdrive 2, nope, can't be bothered. Quantum Break 2, nope, we had a falling out with that developer. Like, they've literally given us no games that we've asked for. Like, zero. Nobody. Like I saw people even asking for Record 2, and apparently that cheap game is too much to ask for. So, like, I don't know what Microsoft is thinking. I don't know who's happy with Xbox, or like I said, and this is not a knock on anybody in particular, how the hell can anybody hype up an Xbox Scarlet with absolutely nothing to play on it? Like, zero. There's nothing. Like, you don't even need one. I'm just gonna, if I want to play Halo, I'm gonna play on my Xbox One X. There is no need to get a Scarlet. They're going very much the Sega route. And there's these parallels there. Like, I believe the Xbox One X is their Sega Saturn, and then the Scarlet is their Dreamcast. So, yeah, it's like, you know, out of the blue, right?
Crap, I've been saying now for a while that Phil Spencer was promoted, and his only job was to go through the transition of transitioning from the Xbox hardware over to their cloud services, and just turn it over from there. And that's pretty much the end game.
That makes sense.
And everything that Satya Nadella has been talking about, everything that Phil Spencer's talking about, has been leading in this direction. And I know guys still want to pull out hopes that those guys are going to focus on the hardware specifically and just give you exclusive. Those exclusivity days are over. Those marketing deal days are over. It makes no sense when Phil is out here talking about holding hands and putting games any and everywhere and just singing Kumbaya for them for him to turn around and hold something on his platform. He does not care. He specifically said this with his own mouth when the guy asked him about the competition, and he's like, look, just really makes no sense. I want people to game any and everywhere. I want to have games here and there, and all that matters is, we sing Kumbaya. That's the end game. Yeah. So if you're holding out hope, man, it's been 6-7 years already. Yeah. What are you still waiting for? It's over.
That's what I'm saying. And people go, well, they're just holding back for next gen. Like, again, unless they've made some big third-party deals for some exclusives, I don't see how it can be any different. Like, Sony's going to come out the gate, and they're going to listen. Sony's going to be smart. I don't think they're going to announce everything year one, but there's going to be a Horizon Zero Dawn 2 and a God of War 2 and a Spider-Man 2. Like, that these things are coming. And the thing is that I always bring up is, in today's day and age, it's impossible to stop leaks. That's how we know, because a voice actor said they're working on Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Yep. So we know it. It leaked that Sony has a secret San Diego studio with Naughty Dog employees making an Uncharted game. So like, where there's smoke, there's fire. On Microsoft's side, what leaks have we had even remotely, even for an IP or a game type? Nothing. So
the only rumors and leaks we get is that, like, the more recent one with Game Pass on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that we get.
Exactly.
Yeah, all the stuff that you really don't want to hear, right? And that's the thing about it, right? We can't really talk about the actual games because they haven't announced any games. They haven't said anything about the games. All we hear is about the hires that they have. Now, never ever before in a generation of gaming have I ever heard a fan base hyping up HR, human resources hires. Yeah. We're not talking about, somebody hiring the whole Naughty Dog studio. We're talking about this guy here that's a sound engineer, or this guy over here at Guerrilla Games that deal with some artwork or something like that. It's like, guys, that doesn't guarantee you a big blockbuster AAA game. It doesn't. And you got to realize how these developers work, right? They have a game. They go out, they hire for that game to work on that on a contract basis. After that game is made and they're done and they finish patching, they have DLC, then the job is over. They go to work at other studios and they go try to get jobs working elsewhere. That fits on their resume. So it's not like they're hiring the Naughty Dog or Guerrilla Games studio itself to make a game. Mm-hmm. No, they're just hiring people that float around anyway. I don't think that that's something to hype up. I would rather for them to talk about.
Not like they're hiring. They hired Neil Druckmann.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
exactly.
And the funny thing is, I brought this up. There's a couple huge differences between this gen and last gen on Xbox. One, Microsoft would list the amount of players in their games and talk about how many people are playing their games. You never had problems finding games with new people. Now you run into the same people usually, especially on like Gears, even Call of Duty. Yeah. The other thing is, go back on your 360 or the 360 games that you can play, and you can still see that people rated their games. Like 50,000, 100,000 people would rate these games. You look at this, like I'm looking at this, JTech TV sent me a thing. It's Gears 5 Tech Test is a 2.58 rating out of 5 stars, and only 224 people rated it. Even if you look at their biggest games like Halo, there's like 2,000 ratings on it. That's not a lot. Like, people aren't rating their games, they aren't playing their games. This is probably a big push why they have this crossplay initiative as well, because their player base is dying out on the console. But the problem is, people go, well, why are they even bothering with the console? They need it short term because they probably have 20 million people or whatever paying Xbox Live. They're making about $2 billion a year off of this. So you don't want to take away that $2 billion. Also, if they have no console, what people don't understand is they make 30% off of each multi-platform sale. They also make 30% off microtransactions. So something like Fortnite, which does really well with microtransaction, they make a lot of money off of that. When it starts to slow down, that declines their revenue. So if you don't have a box, then they're going to miss out on all that. So if they didn't have a box going straight to start off with, and they go straight into next gen with no box, no Xbox Live Gold, because what's going to happen at that point, right? Like, they've got people locked in now till 2022. They have to support their console at least for a little bit. But you would already be taking $4 to $5 billion off of what you're making. And what did they post, like a 10 billion revenue or whatever? So you're already looking at cutting that in half if you didn't have a console. So that's why they're going to have a console for a little bit. But the problem is like Phil, he's so schmarmy, right? Like, we don't even need it. It's not about sales of consoles. It's software and services. And like people aren't smart enough to put 2 and 2 together. It's like, dang, excuse me, you guys. I just had like a burp. Woo, man, that felt good. But anyway, yeah. So sorry, now I couldn't stop that one. It just came out. But anyway, yeah. Because I'm drinking while I'm doing this too. So yeah. So Phil, he's so schmarmy with this stuff, and he just doesn't like people aren't smart enough to figure this out. Now some people aren't, right? And it's just like I've seen this argument too. Like I've asked, I'm like, hey, I would love to go on some of these Xbox guys podcasts and just talk about this stuff, but I have getting no invites because I think it probably wouldn't be good for business to, you know what I mean, to have someone talk about this stuff because people are hyping up Scarlet, and I'm like, I only care about the games. I'll be damned if I'm going to hype up Scarlet with no games. At least there's stuff to get excited about on the PlayStation side already, but there's nothing.
Listen, we've hyped up how many Xbox consoles this generation? OG Xbox One, Xbox One Elite, the Xbox One S, the Xbox One X. There are a handful of guys that are hyping up the SAD. It's like, God,
we hyped up the DirectX 12.
Exactly. Like the power of the cloud.
Me, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
remember Secret Sauce?
Yeah, I do. Hey, I hated that.
Hey, crap! You remember the hidden GPU?
Yeah. Hey.
Remember the X-ray screenshots? There it is. The hidden GPU.
Well, listen,
there it is. That's the hidden.
That Mr. X guy is arguing with me on Twitter. He's like, they should force crossplay. That was the first thing he told me. Second thing he told me was I would definitely be buying Scarlet once Phil delivers everything this E3. Yeah. And I'm like, what's he gonna deliver, man? Like, we're getting Halo. Okay, cool. I don't need a Scarlet for that.
Yeah.
I can play it on my Xbox. Well, hell, I can play it on my base Xbox One that's in the closet if I wanted to. It doesn't matter. Like that stuff isn't impressive to me anymore. Especially when you don't have anything worthwhile. You haven't shown us anything in so long, and then you have to prove that it's good.
Isn't that odd though? Like you said, you don't need a Scarlet to go play Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that odd that like they're not like what Sony's doing? Like, if you want to play the next latest greatest Sony exclusive, you need to buy a PlayStation 5. Like, if you have a console to sell, next generation console, and you're hyping up the power and you're saying it's the Beast Eater, is that what they called it? At E3. If you're hyping the power and Scarlet and all that, why is this forward compatible thing? Look, it's nice. I get what you're trying to do. It's a nice option, but if you're trying to sell this new console and you're putting all this R&D money and all this time and resources into this new console, why aren't you just saying, hey, you know what, guys, if you want to play the latest and greatest Xbox exclusives, we have all these new studios, you're gonna have to buy a Scarlet. Yeah, like I don't understand that. Like to me, that's a missed opportunity. Because people are gonna go out and buy PlayStation 5s.
Yep.
And they're gonna have really probably a year head start.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why, right? This, whatever budget that they had, that originally that included the in-game, which was the Scarlet. So I don't see them hyping up this console going forward. Of course, they want you to buy it, right? They want to make the revenue, but they don't care if you do or don't, because their in-game obviously is Game Pass and their cloud services. That's this is why Satya Nadella has went out on this interview and said, hey, look, we're rolling out the red carpet for Sony. Yeah. We'll do whatever in our powers to make sure that Sony and PlayStation is successful with this any kind of way we possibly can. So that is saying it, right? They're a huge customer. They have over 100 million install base. They have over 100 billion games sold. You know how much data
Satya wants that Game Pass on there.
Hey man, he wants to sell that cloud space. That's right up his alley, and that's why they hired him. Anyway, man, I just want to rock out with you for a little bit, crap.
That's fine.
And I gotta stop by. I got another podcast I need to jump on. Enrique is always good. And
man.
I'll talk to you guys in a bit.
No problem, man. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. I also wanted to point out that Sony predicts by 2020 March they're going to be at like 115 million consoles, which is an incredible mark. And by March of 2020, Nintendo expects to have almost 53 million Switch units. So it's weird to see consoles that are actually going up, because there was this leak that happened earlier in this year, like about a month ago, that the Xbox One had only sold about 1.5 million units the entire year worldwide. And so when you see that, both the Switch and PS4 are selling like a lot more than that, it's easy to see why a lot of people are kind of doom and gloom on Xbox. I want Xbox to do well because, the competition factor is really good there. And it sucks to see people that I know who are huge Xbox fans just be down on the dirt. And it's not, it's like you get attacked on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like I do. I'm kind of a jerk on Twitter about it because I think it's funny. But people get really mad.
I know.
Oh my gosh,
I saw that today.
yeah, they get really pissed off. And for me personally, it's just like, hey, don't blame me. Blame Microsoft. They're the ones that keep failing. And then you have everybody hyping up this engagements talk and all this other kind of stuff. So to me, it doesn't make sense to kind of go that way as a fan. Like their engagements or their portfolio stock engagement, none of that stuff really matters to me.
No.
The only things that really matter to me are the actual games. And it seems to me like Microsoft cares the least about that. I haven't even heard anybody mention the term AAA exclusive. I can't remember the last time I heard them mention that.
No, I can't either. Probably not since like Halo, when Halo released it. I mean, it's just, it's interesting. I think Rand had a video this week about like the mass exodus of Xbox.
Yeah.
And it's, what, man, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it right now on Twitter. It's crazy. Like guys that, who I've been following on Twitter since, 2013 are just kind of like, I'm done. I've had enough. And I'm not going to buy a Scarlet until they show me like a solid roadmap, or they start showing me more games. They start giving me what I want as a gamer. And it's crazy. I never thought that I'd see that. But it's happening. And there's definitely an exodus of people that are leaving and are saying, hey, I'm definitely buying a PlayStation 5, but I'm not buying an Xbox Scarlet at launch. I'm one of those people. I've never missed an Xbox launch. Yeah. I'm not buying a Scarlet at launch. I don't need to. They haven't given me a reason to buy one yet. And it's crazy. Like I never thought that day would ever come. But I'm seeing it. And they got to be careful, because how many more people are they going to lose? I mean, if you look how many people they lost from the 360 to the Xbox One, I mean, how many more people can they lose?
Well, if they have, let's give them 40 million. The Xbox 360 was at almost 90 million.
It was at 91 million.
Yeah. So if you lost 51 million or more, that's insane. That tells you everything you didn't need to know right there. Now, when PlayStation 4 came out, I get the initial thing, like, okay, well, it was $100 more for a less powerful console, and they were at Connect, and you know what I mean. But they realistically, by like I think March or April of 2014, it was the same price. They took out Connect. Yep. They had games like Titanfall and Sunset Overdrive, so they had the games. It was just like, but people just weren't trusting them. And I think there's this trust issue with Microsoft, sort of like what happened to Sega. And when I tell people that, I was around then, so it was like, I had a Genesis, and then they're like, well, buy a 32X. And I bought a 32X. And they're like, we're going to support this thing for the long haul. And they didn't. They supported it for less than a year, and it had like 13 games or something. It was ridiculous. And then they're like, here's the Sega Saturn. And then a couple years later, here's the Dreamcast. That's sort of like what Microsoft is doing, and I think is not going to end very well for them, because people don't have that consumer confidence. There's always going to be the people, and I notice in a lot of this, and it's not a knock on anybody in particular, a lot of people that have broke bread with Phil and these executives at E3 are the real diehard fans still. They're the ones that are just like, yeah, we believe in Phil and the Xbox. At some point, and I'm not sure what the breaking point is for everybody else. For me, it was the idea of Phil up there trying to sell me a third new console in 3 years with no new IP to go along with it. And I was just like, man. And if you look at his interviews, he interviews and says the same thing over and over again. We need to do better. I understand our exclusives or our games, our first parties lacking, right? That's what, we're making announcements. We're making announcements, but I really sincerely think that they realize that third-party stuff is a way to go. But at the same time, a lot of their third-party stuff isn't that good either. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's going to really knock down the door to get Psychonauts 2 or Rad. Outer Worlds might be an interesting pickup, but not for me. I don't like Fallout, but some people, it might do well for them. But Wasteland 3, I don't think anybody's like dying to get it. No. It's like, I mean, what do you think? Because I know you like Xbox too, but it's just like it's kind of sad to see this.
It is sad. I mean, like I'm telling you, like I said, this first time in 18 years, I'm like, it's a hard pass for me right now. Yeah. And I never thought that day would come. And I just got to a point. My breaking point for me was this E3. Yeah. All they had to do was go up there and say, hey, we're working on Fable.
Yep.
Or we're working on, or hell, we're bringing Mech Assault back. Something that
a game that people were actually asking for, like that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Like something that spoke to the hardcore Xbox fans, that, hey, you know what? We still have you guys in mind. We're still going to give you guys the games that you want. Cause that's what Sony Nintendo does.
Yeah.
And that's why you have the loyalty that you have with Sony and Nintendo, because they always rally their base. I mean, all joking aside, you remember The Last Guardian, that game was announced like 10 years ago, whatever, and then it was MIA. And what did Sony do? Because the fans wanted it. They came out on E3 and they said, hey, we're going to release Lost Odyssey this fall, whatever the case was. But what happened? People went nuts, right?
Yep.
And that's what
crazy,
Microsoft. Yeah, but Microsoft's not doing that. I feel like they're trying to. I feel like for them, the long game is games as a service and Xbox. I mean, I think even what's his face, Ibarra. I think he even said that Xbox. It's not necessarily hardware. It's they look at it as a platform now.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So like I think that Xbox and that was always kind of I remember Next Gen 720 saying I don't want my favorite platform to be an app, and I think they're kind of heading that way.
Absolutely.
I think they have a little bit longer to go, but I think that what happened is they're almost being bullied out of the hardware space, probably 15 years too soon, because I just feel like me and you talked about this. Matt Piscatella pointed this out. 31% of U.S. homes don't have even broadband, no internet or whatsoever. Yep. So anybody thinking that everybody's just gonna go la la la, let's go stream some games like Netflix, isn't really gonna work that way. And I pointed out this multiple times now. Netflix has 140 million subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Or now has 100 million people on that dedicated piece of hardware. You can reach almost as much with the dedicated piece of hardware. And maybe by the time, PS5 comes out, that PS4 could still keep selling for a little bit in different places of the world, like the PS2 did, right? Yep. Like it wouldn't surprise me to see 150 million sold by the time it's all said and done. And, like this holiday is going to be crazy. They're probably going to sell that thing for $150 with a few great games, so it's going to sell incredibly well. For me, like if you sell and take an interest and actually want to sell your hardware, then I think you will sell your hardware. The fact of the matter that Phil's out there going, it don't matter to me.
When he said that, I was like, okay, that's all I need to hear. That's that lets me know that it's not a priority for you. It isn't.
Yeah. It isn't. Yeah, it's not. It's like, okay, I get it. So you guys don't care about. He doesn't care about exclusives either, because if you look at when he talks about stuff, he thinks that, and I had heard this from a couple people, he thinks that they just had like the best E3 ever this year, right? And he's like, well, we had 14 first-party games, and I bet most people can't even think of the 14 because they're mostly multi-plats, and stuff like what is that, Flight Simulator?
Yeah,
or it's like, I can almost promise you, no Xbox fans really care about Flight Simulator.
Was that PC exclusive?
Yeah, it's a PC thing for the longest time. They're putting on. I think the only reason why they're going to put it on Xbox is just to avoid that few people that might cry out that, oh, you're giving PC exclusives. But that game actually makes sense as a PC exclusive. So like, I wouldn't have cared either way. I probably would have made a stink about it just for the fact of the matter that Gears Tactics, they have Age of Empire Studios. Like, they have some of these studios just doing PC stuff, and they have nobody just doing console stuff. And I feel like the console stuff suffers a little bit since they implemented Play Anywhere, which was a big failure. Like all the games have been delayed. Think about it. Like Quantum Break was the first Play Anywhere game that got delayed from 2015 to 2016. So it could be Play Anywhere. Crackdown delayed multiple times, ended up being Play Anywhere. State of Decay 2 delayed multiple times. Like their games have been delayed, and I mean, they're not even very good, so they're getting delayed and they're still crappy. So that pretty much says all you need to say. Like, people are going to be very wary of Microsoft. Like, hey, do you want to try their streaming service on your 5-inch phone? Like, I don't think a lot of people are going to be dying to go do that. And I think Microsoft maybe overestimated what Google was going to do, right? Like, oh my god, they looked at Google as this big thing over the horizon, the future. They're going to put all this money and resources into it, and then like literally, I hear nobody talking about Stadia. They got 33 games they're launching with. Most big developers aren't even on board with this thing. Like, you have no game ownership. Nobody's talking about this thing.
I was actually really bullish on Stadia. I've actually taken a step back now.
Yeah,
kind of like
nobody's talking about it,
because I'm worried. Like, wait a minute. Like, Google isn't really like they weren't. I mean, they had that E3 presentation, but like after that, like they never really talked about it. There's no game ownership. And there's, and I thought it was going to be like Netflix. It's not like a Netflix type service at all. It's basically a digital storefront where you buy games digitally and play them on your TV or your computer.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, and that's assuming that you can play those games without any lag. And then there's the issue of data caps. I unfortunately have Comcast, which enforces data caps. And there's that issue, and they're not even addressing that. They're out there saying, "Oh, we think that the ISPs are going to figure it out." I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You think the ISPs are going to be like, "Oh, it's okay, have at it, guys. Just use 280 gigs of data a day. We don't care."
Well, this is the funny thing that I say, because Matt Priscatella is always pointing this stuff out. He was the one that pointed out that like 31% don't even have broadband.
Yeah.
With the problem that we have with net neutrality is, if people do start using absurd amounts of streaming data, they could go, well, you want the streaming package, that's $150 more a month.
Exactly.
And it's already for like people like me, like I don't have great internet. So when it's peak time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern, usually my internet drops down to pretty low, because that's when everybody's on it.
Everyone's on the network. Yeah, they throttle. Yeah.
Yeah. So they throttle it. Even with I have 4G on my phone, AT&T, and I have unlimited. But once I hit, I think 15 gigs, they throttle me back my speed. So I don't have that full 4G like the entire time. Like, people don't understand that. They're like 5G. And I'm like, you don't understand. You might pay for 5G, but they're not going to give you that the entire time. It's wildly kind of up and down. And so this thing isn't going to work out quite as well as everybody believes it is, particularly Microsoft, who focus so much time and energy on beating Google. And I think this Google stuff is going to be gone within a couple of years. I honestly just think they're going to go cut their losses, and it's going to be the end of it. And people are going to be like, whoa. And Microsoft's going to be like, whoa, here we are with this xCloud initiative, and nobody really cares.
HoloLens?
Exactly. Like HoloLens.
Connect?
Like Connect, or like Zune, or Windows Phone, or Groove Music, or Skype, or any of the stuff that Microsoft buys. It's absolutely ridiculous that they aren't doing more. And we got like 420 watching. Please hit the like button, y'all. It's going to be great. Hey, Top Dog says the Flight Simulator IP from Microsoft is 35 years old. Yeah, I know it's something that a lot of PC, that trailer has more views than the Gears of War trailer has. So that to me was pretty incredible to see that.
That's what the terrorists in 9/11 used to actually train to fly.
I've heard something like that. So that's sort of weird that was actually the the deal there. And I like poking fun at some of the Xbox fans. It's all in good fun, to be honest with you. Like, I put up a Bleeding Edge thing. I was like the Xbox One savior. It's just like, like, I get it. The game, I think it's going to be like Lawbreakers. People are going to play it for a couple days, and then it's going to be the end of it. But it just, to me, I just wish that more people would just kind of speak out. It's not hate or whining. It's like, we're consumers. If nobody spoke out about the original Xbox One idea, even if you're didn't care, like I personally was like, I've been connected, since the Dreamcast. But, if people didn't do that, then we wouldn't have had anything to begin with. And now it's like they're bringing all this stuff back, but even worse, like all my friends are leaving Xbox. It's bad. And I bring up that there's this exodus on Xbox, and people go, no, it's just a few YouTubers doing it for clicks. And I'm like, man, I'm losing subscribers and followers daily. It has nothing to do with clicks. It has nothing to do with that. It's like, what can you do? What can I possibly do to talk about Xbox at this particular point? It's good.
It's okay to be critical of the things you love. Like, I'm a huge Washington Redskins fan, unfortunately. Right. And look, I mean, I'm hypercritical of the team, and I hate Dan Snyder as an owner. I'm always critical of the team, but I'm critical of them because, because I care. I want to see that team do well. And it's the same thing with the Xbox. Like I said earlier, I've been in the Xbox 18 years, and I'm telling you, man, like, back in the days when you were a beta tester and you were running with these Xbox Live clans and you were playing Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Is it Stein or Stein?
It's Stein.
It's Stein.
Yeah.
Sound like Mooch. Wolfenstein, Stein. Yeah. When we were playing Return to Castle Wolfenstein, I mean, there was, we had it's crazy, man. Like, I know this sounds crazy, but like for us, it was like a badge of honor to be a beta tester, and like we consider ourselves like the hardcore of hardcore console gamers. 18 years ago when the OG Xbox first came out. So a lot of us now, that's why a lot of us are so miffed by the direction and what's happened this console generation, and why so many of us are like, you know what, we got to speak out. We have to say something because, we've seen better days with the console. And that's not, that's not to say that, we're switching teams or we're ponies now. It's it's that we care. I mean, I was there day one, and I'm telling you, man, we wore that being beta testers like a badge of honor, and running with those Xbox Live clans, playing Unreal Championship, playing Mech Assault, playing Rainbow Six online, Halo 2 online when that came out. I mean, when Gears came out, Gears 1 came out, you may remember, like a lot of us were like, oh my God, this is like another, this is that console's Halo.
Yeah.
That's how we looked at Gears. And
yeah.
we haven't
That's why I got that's why I bought an Xbox 360. I think Cliff Bleszinski on G4 TV, like demoing Gears of War. And this was before the Xbox 360 even came out. And I had never seen anything like that. And it looked so great. And I was like, I got to get me an Xbox 360. And Sony at the time, they were behind on the PS3. So they were like, why waste your money on that? Wait a year and get real next generation. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to get this game because it looks great in this console.
Yeah,
and I never looked back. It's like I bought an original Xbox. They had Halo and I like the whole online thing. You could change your voice. It was real hardcore. Xbox 360 is like you could be hardcore or underground. It's like trash talk was enabled. I know like, some people could take that too far, but I always felt like it was just in good fun. I mean, I got trash talked all the time, called a hillbilly or whatever. It's like it was fun. And now it's like we have the parties. Nobody there is no trash talking anyway because like they're the party system or whatever.
Everyone's a party chat.
Yeah, so it's like you can't do that, and the games just aren't as good. Like gaming on the 360 really hit a peak in 2007. I think the 360 sold like 25-30 million units that year.
Yep.
And it was like Halo 3, Call of Duty 4. Like everybody was doing that, like that was the thing. It was like bigger than anything. It was bigger than PC, bigger than everything. Like Xbox had it all. And now, like, I don't understand. Like Sony used what the 360 did and turned it against Microsoft. And for some reason, Microsoft was like, hey, let's just throw out what worked and do this crazy crap that nobody seems to be a fan of. Like, I don't know who Microsoft is listening to. I got a feeling that Sony's got people that are checking out these forums. And they go, oh, well, Xbox fans are afraid that Microsoft isn't caring about the hardcore. Let's go do this press release where we're like, we're all for the hardcore with big AAA games, right? Do you find that ironic that they're talking about hardcore and AAA games right at a time when Xbox fans are like, where's our AAA games?
No, I don't. I mean, obviously they know what's going on. They, they see the numbers and they see what's going on. But I also think that Sony learned a valuable lesson with the PlayStation 3. And you got to remember towards the tail end, they started focusing more on first party stuff. And I think that's kind of when the PlayStation 3 started turning around, when we started getting more of the Uncharted stuff and The Last of Us. But you're right. They took the page book out of Microsoft's page from the 360 era, and they aggressively did it. I mean, when they locked down,
Destiny strikes and stuff.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, and I remember I'm like, holy, this is Bungie. Like, how could Microsoft, the relationship they've had with Bungie, not have some kind of third party deal with them? Yeah. And it was Sony that got it, and I just couldn't. I was blown away. I couldn't believe it, and that's when that's kind of when I was like, wait a minute, like something's not. This isn't good. This isn't gonna end well, maybe for Microsoft, because it's all about the optics. And I remember people saying, oh my God, wait a minute, like Bungie's not going to Microsoft with Destiny, and Destiny can't be advertised. Remember the whole Destiny clone?
Yeah.
That was a big deal. And then they took the Call of Duty franchise and got the marketing rights for that. So you're absolutely right. They took a page from Sony took a page from Microsoft's book during the 360 generation. And I think, I said this on a Brad podcast, I think this generation was even more important because I think this is probably the last generation where you would get people to migrate over to your platform. And I think with forward compatibility with PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 now, I don't see anyone leaving the Sony ecosystem now. And I think it's going to be more of the same next console generation.
Why would anybody leave it, to be honest with you? Because first of all, they're going to come out with big games. Second of all, like I totally get it. And I totally think that they're going to do like some kind of streaming thing with if you own the game or whatever. But they're not shoving it down my throat. They're really doing a good job of sort of just going, hey, we care about our console fans. They actually mentioned the word console. Yep. So that's a plus. They're like our PlayStation consoles or whatever. When you hear Microsoft people, like Mikey Barr the other day was like, oh, it's coming to PC and console. Like you can't say Xbox now. Like, come on, man. Like it's an Xbox, right?
But crap, that's a great point. Like I mentioned this, like PlayStation Now is actually, Sony's actually been in the streaming business longer than Microsoft has with PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
But they never, like you said, they never shoved it down our throats. It was always kind of behind the scenes. The forefront for Sony's always been the console, the hardware, and providing big, first party exclusives, big games that really get people excited for the consoles. And they mentioned that again. They said, hey, we're going to focus next console generation on these big AAA experiences because we know that's what people want.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they do. And like, people don't get it. I've been told, and there's like these fanboys, right, that'll sit there and go, well, it's anti-consumer to have exclusives. Like, you know, like they don't matter. They should be on everything anyway. And I'm like, you don't understand. Your platform dies out and is totally irrelevant if you have if you don't have any exclusive content. And this further kind of proves exactly what everybody what I've been saying, and what a lot of people have been saying is, if you don't have reasons to attract people to your platform, then they're not going to be on your platform, you know, and people aren't going to buy it. There's a reason why Microsoft is the only one that's down year, and that was down after another down year. And the Xbox One X literally came out not even 2 years ago. Yep. So, you know, and the fact of the matter is this: if you got to worry about this, if you're an Xbox fan, not only do you have to worry about, you know, the sales being down and being forced to play in this Wild West situation with like mobile gamers who are on a touch phone, or PC gamers who are using keyboard and mouse and have 120 frames per second. You know, your experience is going to be wildly inaccurate, like up and down all over the place. So not only do you have to worry about that, but you have to worry about developers not wanting to waste their time.
I was going to say that. Yep.
Yeah, with an Xbox version. So if I'm a big developer right now, Xbox is last on my list, to be honest with you. You know, I want to put out a game on a Switch, and I want to put a game out on the PS4.
Yeah,
and
I mean, you mentioned look at a game like Concrete Genie.
Yeah,
like Judgment, Sega game that just came out.
I have it. It's actually pretty good. It's
a
not
pretty
bad.
good game. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually, you know, I'm a fan of the Yakuza series, but it's very much all of the Yakuza, and it's another game that's exclusive, that's good, that's not on the Xbox platform. And that's, you know, I was going to say that, like, that's the other thing that people aren't realizing. Like, if your consoles and selling, developers are not going to want to put their game on your console first. Your console is going to be an afterthought, and you're going to be stuck there missing out on games that, if your console had been selling well, would have been on that platform. Yeah. Now you're going to have to go out and buy a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5 or Nintendo Switch or whatever the case is if you want to play those games. And that's the real danger. And that's what I understand why people damage control the way they do, because all it does at the end of the day is hurt the brand. And it's so short-sighted because, like you said, you know, developers are going to turn the other way. They're going to be like, you know, we always hear about, you know, game developing and the increasing cost of game development, how risky the business is, you know, compared this gen to last gen. You know, those are things that developers are going to consider, you know, and they're going to go to the console that gives them the best opportunity to sell the most copies of their game. Exactly.
So at the end of the day, people are going to go, well, why is it that, you know, Sony is getting these third-party exclusives like Yakuza or Judgment, right? Like, there's absolutely no reason, or Final Fantasy VII remake, right? Like, who knows? That eventually might go to Xbox, but to me, but to me, I probably don't think it would come there till it was like completely out, like, and they're doing it in sections. So like, you're looking at maybe years before it would actually come to Xbox. So for me, you wonder why there's no hurry to put those games on Xbox, and why stuff like Neo maybe wouldn't go to Xbox. Like,
Persona 5.
Yeah. Why would any of these developers mess with Xbox when they have, first of all, they have no presence whatsoever in Japan. Second of all, they have low install base pretty much everywhere, aside for the US. I guess the US is kind of close within a few million, but you know, I just have a feeling that next generation, they're not going to have enough right out of the gate or show enough, because Phil Spencer's got a real quandary on his hands. Like, you're not going to have stuff ready, obviously. Like, most of those studios they picked up aren't going to have anything ready anytime real soon, probably not until to the second or third year into the next generation. So how do you go about that? Because he's really against showing stuff off too early unless it's like a year out. But how do you get people not to look over there at Sony? Because, you know, Sony doesn't have that problem. Sony's going to be like, well, here's you know, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 and God of War 2, and we got an Uncharted as well, and here's Gran Turismo 7 or 8 or whatever it is, you know, and like Ghost of Tsushima is now a launch title. You know, like, because I feel like that's going to happen.
I think so too, yeah.
And I mean, it's going to still be on PS4, but it's going to be like a cross, just like Halo.
That's, and you know, there'll be a Death Stranding PS5 version.
Yeah, you know,
there'll be a Last of Us PS5 version.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. It's like people don't seem to understand it. Like, I feel like people are gonna finally maybe start to understand it when something big like Halo or Forza or Gears of War goes to one of the other consoles in some way, right? Like, maybe it's a last gen Gears of War, but it goes to the Switch, or a last gen Forza Motorsport or Forza Horizon 1 and it goes to the Switch, right? Like then people might go, oh, but I can still imagine people just like damage controlling the hell out of that going, man, it's great to have that option. You know, I can play, I can play Forza on the go now. You know, it's great.
I don't know. I don't know how you could damage control that. I think the writing on the wall, if they do that, is they want to go third party.
Yeah, I mean, look, they every interview, Phil is like, we're the biggest publisher on Nintendo. Like he points that he drives that point home, right? We're the biggest publisher on Nintendo. Like, why does he continually say that?
Well, look, Microsoft is not they've never been a hardware company.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Xbox is probably the most successful piece of hardware that they've made. But this goes back to I think what J-Dub was saying earlier. When Satya took over, everything's changed. I mean, Windows is not even the main focal point of Microsoft anymore. It's going to be cloud services and AI. That's the direction they're heading. So Microsoft, the Xbox needs to fit within that new DNA of Microsoft, and that's why he mentions those things, because to me that points to services. And like Satya says, he wants Microsoft to be about experiences across multiple devices.
Yeah.
So if the CEO is saying that, he's looking at Phil and saying, hey, Phil, our mantra is experience across multiple devices. You need to make this happen for the Xbox too.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing. That's why Phil is very much, whenever you ask him about like, oh, are you going to put Gears on another platform? You're going to put Halo on another platform? And he's like, well, it's we ship Minecraft. That's a good example. Yeah, Minecraft. We ship Minecraft on PlayStation and Switch. We're big publishers over there. We love them. We love PlayStation. We would never want PlayStation to fail because honestly, like they came out and said, PlayStation success
is
like Microsoft would falter without PlayStation success. Like Microsoft, and I started to see this a little bit ago. They bought the Havoc engine, they bought like PlayFab, they bought all these things that have to do with gaming to kind of cover the fact that their actual experience, like the Xbox itself, was going in the crapper, right? Like they've got this stuff to cover. Like Minecraft makes them a lot of money. Xbox Live, I'm telling you take away some of these things like Xbox Live Gold, which again, if we're paying for gold, why don't we have the option to disable crossplay? That's what I've been saying for a long time, and people still damage control that.
Why are we even paying to play online? PC players don't have to play online. We're supposed to be this unified ecosystem or whatever it is they say.
To me, if Microsoft really wanted to win, I thought they would have put the X out for $399. Buy a couple exclusives in the interim, like you have the money to do that, do something. There's probably all kinds of games kicking around from developers that are just looking for somebody to go in there and swoop in there buy. They could have had this Control game. Like 505 Games, I think paid $8 million for the publishing rights to Control.
Did he really?
$8 million. It was like so 505 is not a big thing.
I heard the relationship with Remedy and Microsoft kind of soured a little bit after. That's what I heard. That it's not what it used to be.
Well, the main thing is this. Yeah, Phil wasn't a Remedy guy. Phil didn't like Alan Wake. I had heard that from multiple people. Like Phil hated Alan Wake. I don't think he was a big fan of Quantum Break.
But who cares what he? I mean, like it like doesn't even matter if he likes it or not. The fans liked it. I mean,
exactly. Like if the fans like it, then why not go ahead and do something for the fans? Like I just do not understand what Phil's thinking is. Like there's more than just you. Just like there's more than just me. I get it. Not everybody likes all AAA games, but there is a good medium there. I think you can get. But you can't not have any AAA games. I think you got to have something, and you got to have like some of these newer games as well, because otherwise it just makes like the stuff that you get like look even worse. Like makes an average game look bad because you're putting it in place of like a big AAA game. So
you have nothing to fall back on them. You lay an egg.
Absolutely nothing. You lay
an egg and you're done. I mean, everyone's going to be focusing on that egg.
It is. It's like you wait forever to get an exclusive, and then you get State of Decay 2, and you spawn in, and you're like stuck in the floor. It's like it's absolutely ridiculous. And I can't understand why they're so adamant about not announcing anything, right? Unless they truly are 5 years out from most things. Like show something, dude. Like we got a Metroid Prime 4 index card saying it's in development, right?
And it's actually been it's been delayed.
Yeah. But
so,
but
at least we know.
Yeah, exactly. And they go Breath of the Wild 2 in development. Like they say it. It's like that first game launched with the Switch. I know it was on the Wii U as well, but it launched on the Switch. 2 years later, they're like, another one's coming. with Xbox, it's like you literally have no freaking clue what's coming or what's going or anything like that. It's just one of those.
I think they're afraid too, because maybe they don't have anything else coming out in the meantime. Like you mentioned Nintendo, like they announced Breath of the Wild 2. Well, they just released Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is reviewing very well. Whether or not you like those tactical RPGs, it's reviewing very well. It's probably going to sell very well. And then he just released Mario Maker 2, which I think you said sold 3.5 million in 2 days or something.
Yeah, it was like 2.5 million in 3 days. It's incredible.
So I mean, I think that's part of it too. That maybe they know, hey, we can announce it, but we do that, we're kind of blowing our load. We don't have anything else coming out.
Yeah. To me, I don't really understand like a lot of the damage control and stuff like that goes around it. It's like if people would just admit that that there's a problem, then Microsoft might actually listen to it. But you got everybody just kind of kissing their butt around E3. Like I'm sure Phil goes into that place like a king, right? But if he were to actually know what the real world of the real gamers are thinking and saying, he might not think so much about it, right? Like I've never been a person, even when I was like super early in this YouTube stuff, I was never really into like the whole Sony's got to fail. I never wanted Sony to fail. Right, because I was even saying back then, you need these two to kind of go back and forth.
Absolutely.
We get good deals.
Yep.
Now that Microsoft has pretty much given up, it's like people don't understand. That's not good for the industry. That's not good for anybody. And if you ask Microsoft, like, hey, you don't need to outdo Sony. You just need to do yourself and your fans right. Like you got some fans. Why not go ahead and like support them? We've been suffering a long time. Like I've been sitting here thinking, hey, the games are going to come. Phil said it. He said games are coming. He said wait till next E3, and then you wait till next E3, and they show off a bunch of multiplats and some indies, and like this Blair Witch thing. Like it looks like a indie game, like it's probably going to get like a 60 something, 60, 70 Metacritic. It's going to eventually go to PlayStation, so why are people acting like it's such a big deal? Like if you're excited for it, hey, cool, but it's not a AAA game. It's not, it's not a big game, and it's like people don't seem to understand that. When we're waiting so long, that's why I'm so adamant about it. I'm not saying you can't enjoy multiplats because we all play multiplats, but why in the hell would you buy an Xbox just to play multiplats? Because next gen is going to be pretty even. Neither one's going to have like this huge advantage. Like, the X is an advantage, but most developers don't bother with it to take advantage of it because the PS4 is the main install base. So
exactly. Yeah.
Xbox One X has probably a couple million units out in the wild. PS4 has 100 million. I don't know how many pros, but I would probably wager a lot more than Xbox.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's just one of those things that I don't understand who Microsoft is listening to. Who is Phil Spencer listening to?
Who's their target audience? I mean, that's
I don't know. I know it's not me anymore. Like it used to be
is
me.
The mobile gamer now. Like it's like you hear about he wants to reach those 2 billion gamers. I'm like, dude, those aren't like hardcore gamers. That sounds more like the casual gamer that's playing Candy Crush on their phone. And even then, like we had Matt Piscatello on Brap, he was saying if going after that group is a totally different business model, because one, they're not gonna pay to play. They're not gonna subscribe to Xbox Live or Game Pass. They want games for free, and they'll engage in microtransactions, but they're not gonna pay to play a game. That's not how that group works. And it's a different beast. And then, I wonder if he's trying to somehow blend, how they approach console gaming with mobile gaming. And I don't think you could do both. Because they're two different, unique demographics. They play games differently, and they buy games differently. And so I don't think you could do both. I think you got to do one or the other.
Well, yeah, and what's funny to me is he probably saw stuff like Fortnite on mobile really take off and like PUBG. But what you got to understand is you download those games.
Yep.
And then like friends are playing them and stuff like that. And those are like huge games. I don't think the ability to play a Halo on a phone is going to, like, maybe if you had a dedicated mobile version that you could download and it was like, sort of like those games are fun to play because you can play them and usually you're done with them in like 5-10 minutes. Each round is over or whatever. So it's like people like to play them. Microsoft, I think, feels like they could have jumped in on that. What they should have done, and this is what I said they should have done, what I would do if I were Microsoft, I would have just like, you want to do some mobile games? Make some mobile games, fine. Make them specific mobile games like Mario Run or whatever the hell they were doing, like Nintendo did. that Pokemon Go thing where it's like a VR. They're doing that with that Minecraft game, right? So you do specific things for mobile. I would do specific things for PC. Your flight simulators. I wouldn't do Gears, Halo, and Forza. I would do like a specific Halo Online or something just for PC gamers, or a Gears of War Online just for them. And just like their Age of Empires, I'd keep that stuff on that platform, and I'd give Xbox gamers back their games. I feel like they've made their console so irrelevant, and they made it irrelevant because they're giving this idea that, hey, everything's going to be streaming, everything we're doing is going to be doing, everybody's going to be doing this, and that's what everybody says now. Everybody's going to be doing it. And I'm like, man, I'm looking around and I don't see anybody saying, I can't wait to start streaming my game while I take a dump. Like Phil Spencer's like, everybody's asking us. We want to play our games wherever we want. And I'm looking around like I have not seen a single person, aside from like a couple of people that really damage control this kind of crap, go, I want to take my Halo into the bathroom, or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get it. It's like there is these handheld consoles, right? There's the Vita. There's 3DS, obviously the Switch Mini or whatever. But the difference is you take the.
Hey, Crap, you have a super chat, by the way.
Oh, I do. Let me see. Oh, okay. Carlos Torres says, if Sony makes a killer multiplayer like Halo or Gears, Microsoft could be more trouble. That's the only thing Sony is missing, showing support. Okay, I appreciate that, Carlos. Here's the thing. Guerrilla Games has a 450-person studio, and they're divided into two teams right now. One of them's working on Horizon Zero Dawn 2. The other group is working on a multiplayer first-person shooter. It's rumored that it could be a Killzone 2 or a Killzone reboot or something like that, in the vein of the original ones, because I thought Killzone 2 was probably the best one.
That was definitely the best one, yeah.
Yeah, so like Shadowfall didn't interest me at all. It was like I didn't like it. But if they go back to more of the Killzone 2 style, I'm not saying it's going to be a Halo killer, but with the way things are going right now, I could definitely see it being something that does very well for them as a launch title, because I don't think that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is going to be their launch title. I think that's going to be their year or two into the generation title. And, they're going to do the thing that they did now, where they're going to announce a couple things every year. And like, that's what I like about Sony's E3. When you look back at it, they've got these huge announcements that no other company, I mean, Nintendo does it too, but Microsoft never has a surprise moment, like holy crap moment. There's never been that I can think of.
No,
when was the big surprise? Do you remember a big surprise from Microsoft?
Oh my God, man. I can't remember. I mean, actually, for me personally, maybe Phantasy Star Online 2, that was coming to Xbox One X or Xbox One.
Yeah. But I mean, that game's like 6 or 7 years old, though. I mean, it's interesting, but yeah.
Like where people got up and were like screaming.
Final Fantasy, when that got announced to come to 360, I think people really kind of lost it. We're like, whoa.
Yeah. I would say that. But like, I can't think of anything, man. I mean, probably not since this is sad. Oh my God. Not since probably the days of the 360, man. And that's not good.
That's exactly my point. You can't think like why do Xbox fans got to temper expectations for every single thing, right? Good, it's like they're gonna do Gamescom, but they're not gonna announce any new games. I mean, maybe something like I remember people going, they got Hunt Showdown or whatever it was. It was like in the preview program, and now that's launching on PS4.
Yeah,
like you might get something like that, or one of those indie games, but they're not going to announce a Fable or something at one of these things. So like people like Xbox fans can never get excited about anything. It's like I see people go, oh well, they just renewed Brutal Legend and this other game Trademark, and I'm like, well, they go, maybe we'll get sequels now, and I'm like, it sounds to me like we might be getting ports of those games on the Switch. Like it's like there's literally never a moment to be happy about anything on Xbox, and it sucks, right? You just know that they're not going to do anything worthwhile, and that's a bad feeling. It's like and like I said, if they were listening to the fans on the game stuff, it'd be different. But the only things they implement is things to kind of make them money, and never things to make their fans happy in terms of video games themselves. So while I think maybe Gears 5 will probably score okay, it'll probably be the lowest sold Gears that they've ever had. And I think Halo Infinite is going to do well on PC, but I think it's pretty clear that Microsoft is allowing Steam to get involved and some of these other outlets because Xbox is.
When did you ever think that you'd see an Xbox exclusive or former exclusive game be on Steam? I mean, it blows my mind. Like if I said that to you at the beginning of this console generation, crap, you're gonna see a Halo game on Steam. You're gonna like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
you're on crack.
Exactly. Like I remember when what was it, Quantum Break, was gonna relaunch on Steam or whatever, right? I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. And Killer Instinct went to Steam, and now it's like Gears is launching day and date on Steam. It's absolutely incredible. 9Live says it will sell less because of Game Pass. It could also sell less because of less interest. If you look at the nobody even knows it's coming out. Like I know people that don't even know it's coming out. It's coming out in a month, and there's no advertisements for it. It's on Chips Ahoy, I guess. But
no one watches TV anymore. Apparently.
But they eat cookies, so that's good.
Yeah, according to Aaron Greenberg, no one watches TV anymore, but we eat a shitload of Chips Ahoy. Right?
We got to eat our Chips Ahoy. That's basically kind of says it all. So like as far as I'm concerned, it's like, hey, okay, I get you, but they're not showing the campaign until launch. I feel like there's something there why they're not showing it. So like I think that's going to hold something back there. The multiplayer, again, I played the tech test. I'm not a fan of them not being able to disable crossplay. I feel like they're going to do what they did with Sea of Thieves and be like, yeah, we're going to get around to fixing it, but Sea of Thieves still hasn't really fixed it. It's like you can
are they still having issues with the cheating and stuff?
Yeah, it's like there's people because they keep putting new hacks in. What happens is you just go download these stuff off these sites, right? I'm not going to say what they are, but you can just download them, and then you got all this stuff like you can't die, or you can like teleport, or you can see through stuff. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous, and this is going to be a problem with the multiplayer as well. one of the big reasons that just look at PUBG on PC, right? They banned how many people, millions and millions of people, because they're cheating. This is good. This is a big problem. Now they're bringing this problem over to like Xbox One gamers, and people are not gonna put up with it. I think that it's gonna cause more people to leave. They're gonna leave, and I can't blame them. I think that it's a really bad situation for everybody, and I think gamers, for one thing, are definitely are not gonna put up with it. Like we all pay for this stuff. Like I've spent probably $4,500, maybe close to $5,000 on Xbox this generation.
Me too,
and how the hell am I going to explain that? I'm about to get married again. Oh, hey, next year I'm going to buy me a $500 Xbox and a $500 PS5. It's not going to work that way. Plus, I don't see a need to buy another Xbox.
Yeah.
So like, there's no games. Yeah.
Yeah, crap. Real quick, I have to actually get back to work, but I wanted to say something. Kind of go back to E3 and I was thinking about the loudest pop that I heard at E3 more recently from Microsoft.
Yeah.
It was when Keanu Reeves came out on stage.
Yeah, and that's,
so that tells me something for a third-party game.
Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely right. Like, and that's what Xbox is. It's basically a third party thing. But hey, man, I thank you for joining me today, man. And
definitely, man.
We'll try to do something a little bit later on too. I know you do BRAP like the same time I do Xbox Nation, so it's kind of hard to hook up. Yeah,
we got to figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure out something. But hey, man, I appreciate you coming in and stopping by today. It definitely means a lot to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks, Scrap. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good one,
man.
Later.
Yep, you too.
Yep. So everybody in the chat, man, I really appreciate it. What do you guys think about it? Because I haven't really checked the chat much. In the chat, let me know. What do you guys think about this 100 million PS4s? Is console fatigue a thing? Green Hill Play says, crap, Xbox streamer Honey Gold said she is better than you at Crackdown 3 and Kinect Sports. How do I respond to that attack? I've never heard of that person. So I don't know. I'm going to say yes. Crackdown 3, I'm bad at it. And Kinect Sports, I'm equally bad at it. So, not sure. Not sure how to respond to that. So, hey, I'll just give it the win. I'll give it the win, whoever that is. But yeah. So anyway, what do you guys think? If you guys hit the like button, maybe you can get me up over 200 likes. I do this is kind of a surprise, but I was like 100 million consoles sold. That's incredible. I might as well go ahead and do like a live stream and kind of cover it. But this to me kind of blew my mind. And goes to show you that the old guard isn't so old. People really want to play these games. They want a more traditional experience. They want great AAA exclusives, but they also want other stuff too. Like this Concrete Genie looks good, and it's more of a AA experience, right? For I think it's $30 or whatever. But it's a good complement to stuff like new AAA IPs like Death Stranding and Days Gone in the same year, and Shenmue 3. And Judgment. They have all these games, and Dreams, right? And then next year they're going to have The Last of Us 2. It's going to win Game of the Year. Lock it in. And Ghost of Tsushima and whatever else they come out with. They got these games that are like constantly in motion and constantly just like in your face. And that's really what Microsoft is lacking in pretty much every terms of getting games and stuff like that. So I feel bad about it. 9Live says 100 million sold, but still bent the need to Microsoft to use Azure. No, actually, if you go back and read what was said, Microsoft is 100% dependent on the success of Sony, and they're banking on Sony having success to give them success. So realistically, Microsoft kind of bent the knee. That's one of the things that's really kind of ironic about this. Microsoft are at the will of Sony. So you've really got, you've really got to kind of look at it that way, not the other way around. Is Sony is in charge because Sony is paying Microsoft to do a job. Okay, Microsoft, they're the chumps that have got to do the job. They got to do the job for Sony, and that's how it's going to continue to be for them. And there's not really anything that Microsoft can do about it. Microsoft are in a position right now where what can they do? Their console is laughably outsold, right? Laughably outsold, completely getting wrecked by both the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch. Wait till the Switch Lite comes out. The Switch Lite is coming out in September. This thing is going to sell extremely well to people that want just a Switch to go on the like as a handheld only. It's going to do extremely well. It's still going to count as Switch sales. They're going to, if they haven't already surpassed the Xbox One in sales, they will. It's just absolutely incredible to see what these two companies sticking more traditional. Even though Nintendo took a little bit of a chance with the hybrid, they were still able to surpass what Microsoft is doing because games matter, exclusives matter. People want these big games, and I think that's exactly what people are kind of disappointed in with Microsoft. Hold on, JD says you could have said a lot of things, but Sony went to Microsoft for the use of their network. Well, listen, they could have went anywhere for the use of anyone's network, but at the end of the day, it's Microsoft who are relying on Sony's success and banking on Sony's success to make them money. So that's how it works. I mean, that's basically how it's gonna work. Now, next generation is gonna be very interesting because hold on, JD Gamer says with no official numbers, the closest thing we have is video game charts, and as of right now, Microsoft still leads Nintendo, but not by much. Well, there's no official thing, right? So why is it that Nintendo will announce numbers, even though they're losing badly to Sony per se, but Microsoft won't? Microsoft are the ones that are really, really losing. And I think that's more than evident by looking at what's going on with these sales numbers and things like that. I do think that at the end of the day, we're going to see a problem with the Xbox Scarlet where that thing is just not going to sell well at all. It's going to be like DOA, you guys. It's going to be dead on arrival, and I really hate to see that because I'm such a fan of the Xbox brand for such a long time, and to see that nobody, that next to nobody's going to buy this thing really kind of says all you need to know about the future of Microsoft. So hopefully they can fix that and get people excited about what's going on. You know, I just really do feel like that's what they need to do. So at the end of the day, I feel like Microsoft drops the ball. They continue to drop the ball. And this is just more proof that what their plan just isn't working. It's not working for anybody because taking away our games and taking away your reasons to own the console is taking away people from buying the console. Is there any wonder that if they're losing 50% year on year and can't sell more than 1 million a year, like to date or this year anyway, like 1.5 million or whatever it is, that to me says it all. Like you've got to be able to, do something to attract people to your brand. And Microsoft has failed to do that. I'm not sure what they can do to sort of change that. You're going to need like exclusive games to do that. Hold on. JD Gamer says, actually, they couldn't go to anybody. Amazon, if you understand, ServerTech is ill-suited to stream games right now, and Google is doing their own thing. Dude, we're not even sure that they're going to use this for PlayStation Now. Like, if you look at this agreement that they have, it's for like future AI, and maybe they're just going to use it for servers for their games. You know, that's like that could be exactly what they're using it for. So if you want to think about it, if you're going to bank on something, what happened to Microsoft's 50 million users or whatever, right? Like if the Xbox 360 was at 91 million, why is the Xbox One only at like 39 million or 38 million or whatever it is? It's ridiculous. Why do they keep losing people? Why are more and more YouTubers switching? Why are more and more people disgruntled over what Xbox is doing. If they're doing so much and so great of things, why is this the thing? Why are they falling by the wayside so badly? Like, this is the things that kind of that eat at me. Like, if things are so great, why is nobody buying an Xbox anymore? Why is it doing so poorly? Like, that's a real problem. That's a real problem. I'm going to answer some questions in there if you guys got some questions. Yeah, Eddie Ortiz says Xbox is its own worst enemies. 100% agree with that. While people are getting excited about new AAA IP on the PlayStation side and the Nintendo side, Microsoft is releasing Bleeding Edge and pretty much nothing. JD Gamer says, I agree that Microsoft screwed up this gen and it became obvious lately. It's not that it just become obvious lately. It's that they continue to make mistakes. I know people go, well, they're buying studios and that's making up for it. No, making up for it is to actually announce something, show us and prove something. Tell us the initiative is working on a AAA open world action RPG. You don't even got to give us the name. Just say what they're working on. What type of game is it? AAA, tell us. Give us some kind of idea. We've had so long that we've waited since we've gotten any kind of new announcements. And I reiterate this once again. The last new AAA IP that we got announced was 2015 Sea of Thieves. That game went into production in 2014. So in 2013, November, the Xbox One came out. By November of 2014, that was the last new AAA IP that they started working on. So a year into the generation or less, they stopped making new AAA IPs, 100 million versus 40 million, if it's even 40 million. I agree 100%. Fret Boy says they've been forced to transition to this new strategy, but it's way too early. I agree 100%. Microsoft is trying to do this streaming and play wherever, and it's not going to work. It's not working because people aren't ready for it. The technology isn't ready for it. People want to play their games more traditionally, and this is the way this is the reason why Xbox is going to continue to struggle, and it's going to be bad. He says, if Sony's so great, why they bent the knee to Azure? Dude, why would you not go to somebody if they have a quality product? But I wouldn't go to Microsoft for their games, right? Like, if you want to use their servers, fine. And that just goes to prove that Microsoft cares more about doing these services than anything else. And I think this kind of proves that. So hopefully, you guys can sort of recognize that Microsoft really didn't just let me down. They let, everybody down that I can think of. And this is like part of the problem. So hopefully you guys sort of like understand that. It's not like that I'm trying to hate on Xbox. We need Xbox to compete, but they're not going to compete until we, if they're not listening to the fans, and they seem to not be listening to the fans whatsoever. So that's a bit of a problem, and that's something that people got to kind of, got to kind of pay attention to in the future. Like, how are they going to be able to compete and do anything if they aren't listening to the right people? I think they're listening to the wrong people, just to be perfectly honest with every one of you. And I hope they can change that and stuff like that. Our best guess about their numbers, 42.5 million, maybe, but if they're not. If they had over 40 million, I feel like they would announce it. King Blaze says, what was the last good release for Xbox? Halo 3. I think non-racing game, because I think Forza Horizon 3 was really good. I really liked Titanfall. But again, that's not owned by Microsoft. I mean, it was an exclusive, but it's not owned by Microsoft. But I would say maybe Gears of War 3, Halo. I liked Halo 3 and 4, but yeah, like, you're really kind of there's not a whole lot this generation to be excited about if you're an Xbox fan. So do I still play with my Xbox? I play my Xbox for Hulu. Occasionally I'll fire up some kind of multi-plat, but I got to be honest, I've been feeling more along the lines of the exclusives. I feel like they take more advantage of the exclusives and stuff like that. So hopefully. Warren says, do Stadia game follow console releases, or is it PC? Like, for example, Red Dead 2 on console, but not PC. I have no idea. A lot of developers aren't even supporting Stadia, so I have no idea. Matty B says Sunset Overdrive, great too. Yeah, it's a really good game. Too bad we never got a sequel, and we never will, because Microsoft just doesn't care about these type of experiences for their fans, which is really, really a shame. Like everything that Sony has done this generation has been has put Microsoft to shame. So it shouldn't really come as a surprise that Microsoft is getting beat so handedly in the console space. So I'm going to answer a couple more questions real quick. and then I'm going to get the heck out of here. What a treat, though, huh? Back-to-back streams from me. I'm going to do Xbox Nation tomorrow night as well, so it should be a good one. I'm going to answer a couple more, so go ahead and let me know. Eddie Ortiz says, just bought PS4 Pro, Spider-Man, Days Gone, God of War, must-play games. Absolutely. Not only that, but you can get Spider-Man, Days Gone, and God of War for less money than a half year of Game Pass, and the games are better. So play 3 great games instead of 20 crappy ones or 100 crappy ones. Burger Boy says the direction that Sony and Microsoft are taking shows at the back bone of the companies are. Exactly. Shane says, I'm optimistic for the forthcoming games from Xbox, but I can't blame hardcore fans for being bummed by the lack of transparency. Exactly. They're so transparent with their hardware, but not their software. JD Gamer says, if I want the best first-party FPS, it's from Microsoft, the best first-party third-person, Microsoft, the best first-party racer, Microsoft, the best first-party RTS, Microsoft. I don't agree with that. Third person, I think Last of Us and Uncharted are better than Gears of War in terms of just being better narrative-driven games, especially over the last years. So hopefully, yeah, Player One says Crackdown 3 was amazing. It's so amazing that nobody's playing it anymore. So I guess it is super amazing, y'all. One more question real quick, and then I'll get out of here. Let's see. Microsoft needs to have their devs to take a risk. He says, change Xbox Nation to Pony Nation. It's just a name. But, at the end of the day, I'm trying to get people, I'm trying to get people just to talk about gaming. So, let's see. One more question. Sony has let's see. One more. Come on. One more question, you guys. Hit the like button. Get me a question. What's up, EDM Gamer? Appreciate you stopping by. Always appreciate the shares on Twitter as well, my friend. One more question. Who's still playing God of War? There's still a lot of people playing God of War. Those are not cheap third-person games. Those are. I disagree. Look at The Last of Us. Supposedly has really good multiplayer, and even Uncharted has multiplayer. So, I wouldn't even worry about it. It's like to me, Sony's just outclassing Microsoft in every area. Order 1886 could be giving, a new game. What's my favorite Switch game? I really like Smash Brothers. Ultimate Alliance 3 is pretty good, but I like a lot of Switch games. I'm having a blast with the Switch. Great exclusives. What's my end game with Xbox? I'm not getting a Scarlet. I know that, unless they decide to launch with Fable and 3 other new IP. I don't think Scarlet's in my future. Can we get Harmonica? Yeah, for sure, man. I got the Xbox, has no games blues. Throw in a 100 million to 35 million reverse Blue Jay. Ben W, I'm not getting a Scarlet right now. I'm getting a PlayStation 5 for sure. The Trilla says, Crapgamer, do you think the fans are to blame for how the Xbox turned out? Instead of praising the backwards compatibility announcements at E3, they should have screamed for present day games like Sony. Yeah, we needed we needed more games. We needed game announcements. I say this. Microsoft right now has the most powerful console with the X, the cheapest console with the S. They have backwards compatibility, Game Pass with exclusives day and date, game sharing. They have crossplay, preview program, preview game program, and none of this helped them do anything because they have crappy games, really, really bad games. So, it's just one of those things that, I feel bad that fans invested so much into that platform like I did, and it's a shame to see how it's kind of all come about. So, what has Sony shown so far? PS5, nothing. They don't have to show anything because games are leaking for them, and we know they're going to have great games. We don't know about Xbox. We don't know what they're going to do. What next-gen game am I looking forward to play, and what game do you want a sequel to? I want to play God of War, a new God of War, and, I'm looking forward to just playing whatever these companies have if they're good. Hopefully Microsoft can actually get something that's worthwhile. So, yeah. Exactly. I appreciate you guys. Please like and share out Xbox Nation tomorrow night, Pony Nation, whatever you want to call it. Should be a good show. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Have a great day. 100 million, 100. Rack them up. Peace out. Talk to you guys later.